Last time on Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, we were brought to a woman's house who cared for our wounds. She doesn't know exactly how we got there, but she was told us that a man brought us in and told us to go and visit Machiavelli. And so that's exactly what we did. And while visiting him, he gave us some money. We bought some weapons and some armor. And since we were in his debt, he thought we might want to help him out. While walking around Rome, we ignited a Borgia tower, and the influence over that area, freeing it up.
Immovably disabled are asked not to beg directly before the doors of the Chiese of Rome. The new regulation stipulates a minimum distance of 10 feet.
Alright, so now we can own the horse stable. The horse stables, renovate this horse stable for 0 florins. I'd assume this is from Machiavelli. Citizens will store their horses here, and horses will be available to us anytime we come. And it gives us 48 florins for every 20 minutes. Easy come, easy go. Accompany Machiavelli to the Campedoglio, and don't lose any health. Alright. Let's go.
For compensation.
We're just gonna ride silently through Rome this time. Nick? Can I call you Nick? He probably doesn't like that. And it appears we're looking for glyphs again. For the Pantheon. Rebecca says a set of coordinates Sean took from Subject 16 converges on this landmark. Maybe you should check it out. Okay, yeah, I do remember that now. This architectural wonder still stands as the world's largest unreinforced concrete dome 2,000 years after being built. The opening at the dome's center, known as an oculus, is the singular source of light for the immense chamber. Constructed in 126 CE by Marcus Agrippa as a temple to all the ancient Roman gods, the Pantheon has since become a beacon of Christianity. The structure has been burned, rebuilt, robbed, modified, torn down, and renovated so many times the interior contains a myriad of conflicting icons and symbols. Apparently, most gods had this building constructed in their honor. I, however, recommend worshipping at the modern-day espresso bars surrounding it.
You excel at opening wounds, Ezio. But can you also close them?
I intend to heal the sickness, not treat its symptoms.
Stop sparring with me.
Fine, let us talk openly then. Rodrigo Borgia's death would not have solved anything.
I am inclined to disagree.
Look at this city, the center of Borgia and Templar rule. Killing one man will not change things. We need to take away the source of their power.
Are you suggesting we appeal to the people?
Maybe.
Relying on the people is like building on the sand.
You are wrong. Our belief in humanity rests at the heart of the Assassin Brotherhood.
He must be from your inner circle. Go, get back what he has stolen. I will wait at the Campidoglio. I am meeting a contact there.
Give me back my money! Oh, Invece! Come back here! You are making a big mistake! Get out of here before I regret sparing your life.
Not like Ezio. Your dream would end with a foot of steel in your gut.
At this point, I think we can take in our surroundings in this area of Rome and see what we're dealing with from a bird's eye view. Santa Maria di Miracoli and Santa Maria di Montesant. This structure has a glyph somewhere on it. This modest church initially housed humble Carmelite monks who are probably in there right now, hiding from the outside world. Eventually, it was converted into one of the twin churches that stands on the edge of present-day Piazza del Popolo. The renovations took 13 years, starting in 1662. The resulting structures have become iconic landmarks in modern-day Rome. Before we climb on up, let's see if we can't find the glyph that Rebecca was talking about. Well, this is different. He also climbed into it, which was unique. Okay. This is very different.
You dropped out of the grid. Where were you?
Not sure. Some kind of fragmented memory?
Maybe you should stop.
I'm good. I want to keep going.
Loading.
Okay, this looks familiar. Masters all, they did not work, but ruled from on high. Alright. We zoom and, okay. Let's zoom. They're not titled this time. But we can look at all of them and see what we're looking for here. Yep, I would say that that one with the king, was that a president, perhaps? I don't know what that one... Yeah, I guess that would be a master. Not necessarily. No. Okay, so I'm gonna say, after looking at them, we'll go with this one, this one here. Let's see, whoever's on high, that one, and that one. Okay, perfect.
Loading.
Moving away from the sovereign and his crossed brow, the people take 2 steps forward. Okay, the people, probably a pawn. I am white, so we're going up 2 with any pawn, maybe.
Loading.
They become increasingly aware of our existence. We can no longer rely on the divine right of the aristocracy. To maintain control, we need a new system, something much more subtle.
Loading. Quarantine zone.
Okay, quarantine zone. We're very familiar with quarantines. It seems like it's just trying to find that red dot, so looking around. I don't see any secret messages and stuff. That'll be good, something I don't have to decode. Yeah, alright, well, there we go.
Quarantine lifted.
I'll put 16's video files here. Hopefully they'll begin to make sense as you free up each file.
Alright, another The Truth. And it's just little parts of it. It looks like there's quite a few of them, so... At least, what, 10? So we'll get down to that gradually. But for now, let's climb this tower. Wandering around, we see some flags. Looks like another collectible for us to find. We'll worry about those later. It turns out when we see one, it appears on our map, so that's nice. While heading to our next area, I felt like it was advantageous to buy another business, so I bought the doctor's office we saw earlier. In doing so, Rome Global Economic Investments popped up. You can invest in shops to earn greater profit with your next income collection. You will also earn shop quests items if you invest enough money. Reminder though, to invest in a shop you must talk to its owner and select the investments option. It appears that unfortunately, we are not connected to the servers and therefore cannot invest in the shops, so we'll have to get by without. While heading to our next viewpoint, I tried to look at the Pantheon. It says the building is under influence of Borgia Tower and cannot be upgraded, so it seems that we need to ignite the tower before we unlock the building. It also conveniently showed us the location of another feather. But I suppose since we're here, we might as well look for the glyph. I looked all around the outside, only to find out that the thing we're looking for is inside of the building, just behind the door on the top side. So we have to climb to it.
Hey, Desmond.
That little blurb was Sean trying to give us a hint, telling us that we need to use eagle vision, like we weren't already doing that. Cluster 2.
Loading.
The individual intends only his own gain, and he is in this, as in many other cases, led by an invisible hand to promote an end which was no part of his intention. It's signed by, looks like Adam Smith.
Loading.
Ah, yes, we are very familiar with these as well. Let's see what we've got here, though. Oh, okay, so it changes and then warps. and then we have to figure it out. Alright. Either way, it's the same thing, so... And we complete the puzzle. By far the greatest part of those goods which are the objects of desire are procured by labor, and they may be multiplied, not in one country alone, but in many, almost without any assignable limit, if we are disposed to bestow the labor necessary to obtain them.
Loading.
Okay, here we have another one. We'll make this quick. It's a nice little lake view, though. And there we go. A great empire has been established for the sole purpose of raising up a nation of customers. It cannot be very difficult to determine who have been the contrivers of this whole mercantile system. Not the consumers, we may believe, whose interest has been entirely neglected, but the producers, whose interest has been so carefully attended to.
Loading.
Okay, and we have another one. When do they stop? A country that makes provisions to increase in inhabitants, whose situation is good, and whose people have a genius adapted to trade, will never fail to be gainers in the balance, provided the labor and industry of their people be well managed and carefully directed.
Loading.
Hello, hello. Low, 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 low. Okay.
Loading.
And the chessboard. The workforce increases. Brother right beside brother. Okay, so we're gonna move another pawn, but it has to be the pawn right next to this one. Either one. I wonder if it would have let us choose the other one.
Quarantine zone.
Quarantine. Right, so 2 this time. I don't know what that means. Oh, okay, I get it. There's a little time limit on our cursor, and we gotta find the other one before the time runs out. Okay, got one. Let's find the other one. There's no secrets on this page, so we're good. Can we just find both of them and then click both of them? 1 and 2.
Quarantine lifted.
These are worse than the last game's truth ones. Like, you
I think
can't
you're looking for something from 16.
see
But
anything.
last time, scanning in eagle vision seemed to help.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Santi Apostoli. This early Roman Catholic building was built by Pope Pelagius I to celebrate Narcissus' victory over the Ostrogoths. Like many other structures, it suffered severe damage from the Great Earthquake of 1348. It was restored in 1417 by Pope Martin V, and later again by Pope Clement the 11th. So I figure since we're here and our viewpoint is pretty much where we need to go anyways. After killing this captain, he seems to be well guarded. Perhaps we should take care of him whilst going to it. So we'll end up doing that for the most part if the objectives align.
Good riddance. The Portuguese have been people to become a mercenary.
It's almost like the guards don't even care once their captain is dead. Well, that one does. Hopefully we don't fall down. There it is. Alright, we'll quicken this up. Moving on, we see a bank in the area, and we can renovate it for 900 florins, it looks like. Income generated by renovated buildings is deposited in bank vaults. Renovating banks will increase the amount of money the vaults can hold. Banks, that's a new one. Okay. With the advent of double entry bookkeeping, which allowed bankers to keep track of their clients' deposits and withdrawals, and the proliferation of many different types of Italian currency into the pool of circulation, banks became an essential part of everyday Renaissance life. Banks technically couldn't make money on their own because the Catholic Church forbade the charging of interest, but in practice this restriction wasn't followed by bankers, or even by the Vatican, which participated in the banking system and required banks to pay the Pope gifts in proportion to the amount of money he had deposited with them. As long as it's not called interest, God won't notice, right? Art merchants for 900 florins, this one. Treasure maps, paintings for the assassin's hideout can be bought from art merchants. Renovating art merchants' shops leads to discounts and more items to purchase. I unfortunately don't have the funds for that right now. The Sant'Antonio di Portoghesi. This church was erected between 1440 and 1445 by Cardinal Antonio di Chaves and was annexed to the Hospice for Portuguese pilgrims. In 1638, a massive facelift was begun at the hands of Martino Longhi the Younger, converting it to the national church of the Portuguese people.
I saw another corpse in the strada today.
Again, we find ourselves at a Borgia Tower where the captain is still alive. Now's our chance to take him out and burn the tower.
Halt! Hold on. We're losing him! You can't touch him!
I have had it with Borgia service. Who is with me?
Well, not I!
Seems like these soldiers lose faith if their captain goes down. However, the captains seem to run away instead of standing and fight, so I don't know what to think. Either way, we can ignite the tower. Santa Maria in Vallicella. What you are looking at now is the first church built on this site by Pope Gregory I. A modest structure dedicated to Santa Maria in Vallicella. In 1575, construction of the world-renowned cathedral got underway, which was eventually finished and consecrated in 1599. Finally, we reach our destination, but again, it's with a captain, so it's time to deal with him. Unfortunately, it does not go smoothly whatsoever. We end up fighting a large group of guards. After looting the bodies, we can go up to the viewpoint and then ignite the tower. San Andrea della Valle. This is the future site of the fabled Basilica di Sant'Andrea della Valle, although construction won't start for another 80 years or so. The land was bequeathed to the Duchess of Amalfi, who herself was a descendant of Pope Pius II. She was then charged by the Order of Theatine with the responsibility of erecting a church in the honor of Saint Andrew, Although she did not live to see it completed in 1650, the final product was something to behold, celebrated the world over for its stunning interior. Il Campidoglio, the most famous of the 7 hills of Rome. Il Campidoglio's ancient history yields layers of ruins steeped in mythology. Several important Roman temples were built atop the hill, including the Temple of Juno, the Temple of Virtus, and the Temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus Capitolinus. In 79, the hill was also home to the Tibularium, the empire's main archive. In the Middle Ages, it became the city's center of civic government, just before receiving a facelift from Michelangelo. Tempio di Saturno, a monument to the agriculture deity Saturn. This temple stands at the western end of the Roman Forum. Also known as the Atrium, the Roman national treasure was kept here, along with the Republic's reserves of gold and silver. Like the Temple of Castor and Pollux, it at one time housed the official scales. From this, one might be able to surmise that Saturn was not only rich, but likely had an eating disorder. Sean thinks he's so funny putting his little blurbs in here. Eating disorder. He knows what it meant. Tempio di Vespasiano. Standing at the western end of the Roman Forum, between the Temple of Concordia and the Temple of Saturn, the Tempio was built to honor the Flavian dynasty, comprised of emperors Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. As part of the deification process, construction was ordered by Titus shortly after his father Vespasian's death in 79. Legend tells us Vespasian's last words were, "Pity, I think I'm turning into a god," which incidentally will also be my last words. There's a lot of these out here, and another one, and this one's got a glyph on it. The Palazzo Senatorio. Built during the 13th and 14th century as the senatorial seat for administration of justice in Rome, the Palazzo is the dominating structure of the Campidoglio. Tourists today would see an impressive double-flighted staircase in front, which was designed by Michelangelo. Not only intended to induce fear in the glyphophobic, these stairs were a part of a commission Michelangelo received to redo several of the buildings on the Campidoglio at the behest of Pope Paul III for the sole purpose of impressing Charles V, then ruler of the Holy Roman Empire. Basically, the Renaissance political equivalent of a toddler doing headstands for his daddy. And now, with so much knowledge, we can finally make it to the top of our tower and synchronize before finding the glyph.
Hey, Desmond.
It's gonna get real annoying if he says that every time we're looking for one of those. Cluster 3.
Loading.
Okay, missing, and then it says darkness, lost, D, numb.
Loading.
I'm not sure if the D in there is an accident, but our access is denied, and we pull up several pictures. Washington sits above the green in 1944, keeping a cool head. Below the right one is the standard bearing 48. Behind there is a company whose power is growing. This picture is titled 1910, or it says it's 1910. Harry Dexter White, remember this name. I find myself more and more relying for a solution for our problem on the invisible hand which I tried to eject from economic thinking 20 years ago. John Maynard Keynes. How can I adopt a creed which, preferring the mud to the fish, exalts the boorish proletariat above the bourgeois and the intelligentsia, who, with whatever faults are the quality in life, and surely carry the seeds of all human advancement. Okay, so I found some letters here on the upper part of this picture, and it seems to be some sort of a code, and maybe if I find the key or know what this code is, then I can tell you what it says.
That red 48. That's the atomic number of cadmium. I don't need to tell you that. 2 complete day and night cycles, maybe? Or 48 red balloons? I do know that the mountain in one of the images is Mount Washington. That seems to fit the clue. So the answer to 48 is most likely below it.
Silver and gold are finite, but paper is infinite. Alright, so on the black and white photo, the letters seem to say, debt-ridden countries are the new frontier. And on the dollar, Jekyll Island, Club Duck Hunt, more paper money, and Central Bank. It would be done in secret the assassins would never know until it was too late. This thing is extremely touchy if you get it to the edge of the screen. It's super annoying. Okay, so on these ones you can actually select the wrong thing and it gives you a different code. But on this one, the right thing is this flag here, and it shows the Abstergo symbol. And then all we gotta do is match up the wheel to our key. Enter the passcode in and hit submit. Okay, and this is it. Boom, we're in. All right.
Loading.
Abstergo Industries, July 22nd, 1944. Fellows, rulers, welcome. I deliver this speech to you as several floors below us, a silent revolution begins. Ranny Olds and Henry Ford, as many of you know, these founders, gave us the assembly line, the device we have used to control both those indoctrinated into the worship of our money, capitalists and workers, slaves, alike, but I dream of a future in which such ugly chains will no longer be necessary. In 1910, our founders designed the plan. It falls to us to see it through. But what of the communists who intend to spread the bread so thin that everyone will starve? It is our duty to neutralize, save them and their followers. We must ensure that they continue to eat, to reproduce, to be productive members of society. That is our burden, to shepherd those beneath us through life, and we must embrace it, even if force is required. They themselves do not. H and S brought on the turmoil and fear necessary. Now we must strike fast to ensure development continues in the proper direction. We will appear to concede ground to the workers. Remember the successful ruse of Rockefeller's dimes, but soon there will be no ground we do not own. In 1937, we founded this company, this enterprise, with a purpose. The time to nurture it to fruition is upon us. I'm assuming H is Hitler and Stalin. And so we can continue on.
Loading.
As a concession, a small piece is sacrificed for the greater good to come. Okay, so they sacrificed their pawn.
Loading. Quarantine zone. Quarantine lifted.
Palazzo di Conservatori. One of the structures that comprises the Campidoglio, this palazzo served as the seat of the Roman magistrate responsible for administrating the city, or as the Pope liked to call them, his party planning committee. By the end of the 15th century, they had very little actual power. The Pope ran the city from the Vatican. In the mid-16th century, Michelangelo got his talented little hands on the building, redesigned the facade, and adding gigantic Corinthian pilaster strips on high pedestals to make it as little less ostentatious. I'm not certain he succeeded. Basilica di Santa Maria in Ara Coeli. Adjacent to the Campidoglio Square, this basilica became the center for religious and civic life in the city during the 14th century. The architect claimed climbing the daunting 124-step staircase leading to the main entrance on one's knees would absolve a Catholic of all sins. Lord knows I'd rather have murder on my knees than on my hands. Some historians postulate the basilica was built atop the ruins of Juno's temple. I have a feeling there's more to this building than meets the eye, so I'd suggest paying close attention to this one. There's so many data entries in this. It's overwhelming. But it is Rome, and I mean, they did a lot of stuff, so there's a lot of old stuff here. And there's plenty more, as you can see the Colosseum back there. Anyways, moving on. Then we make it to a destination of ours, the Art Merchant, which we can renovate for 900, giving us treasure maps or paintings for the assassin hideout, which we don't know about yet. But then we, of course, get the knowledge. It's actually the same, except for the very bottom. So reread this if you want to, and then when it gets to the bottom, I'll just read it off. If you take a look at the holy scenes most artists were forced to paint, the great works attempt to overcome their subject matter to express untangible truths about emotion, life, and love. And with that, we can now get some treasure maps and paintings. So, collecting the treasure maps, we can go and collect the treasures. Pont Sisto. The current incarnation was built by Pope Sextius IV between 1473 and 1479 as a replacement for its predecessor, Pons Aurelius. What sets this bridge apart from the rest is its central, stylized oculus, which I think looks quite sharp. So we made it all the way over here to get to a viewpoint, but in crossing the bridge, you can actually only make it halfway. So the game doesn't allow you to get to these. There's a few over on this side that we cannot get to. So we're going to collect everything we can and move on from there. Alright, so here we are doing the treasure chests. I will tell you what the total is, but we also get, as you saw there, some other items that you can actually sell. What I didn't know is that you can turn those items in, like you can use them later for the quest events. So instead of selling them off, I would, you know, keep them around because they, well, you know, like I said, you can use them. The Porta Ariella. This gate of the Mura Aurelianel resides on the summit of the Janiculum and was the starting point of the Via Aurelia, renamed Porta San Pancrazio after Pope Urban the VIII, remodeled it in the 17th century. The Via Aurelia served as Rome's connection to France during the Republic and Middle Ages, and therefore was extremely important for trade. Piazza Navona. This piazza was built on the site of the Stadium of Domitian, which was constructed during the 1st century. At the southwest end stands the ancient speaking statue of Pasquino, unearthed and erected in the piazza in 1501. The statue was used by citizens as a signpost for social parodies and anonymous derogatory comments, which were attached to it for all to read. A truly ingenious concept, in my opinion. While I was wandering around, I noticed this on the map and decided to go to it. It's a faction building. We can renovate it for 1,200 florins, and it says that it requires the rebuilt faction headquarters, and we can put one of 3 factions in this building, it appears, and I'm assuming that they spawn around the area once that's done, but I'm not going to do anything with it yet because I have a feeling, a strong feeling, that we're probably going to do something dealing with this with the story, so we're just going to leave it alone for now, come back to it later. Also, I think, not positive, but if you go around and you see the feathers and the flags, which I haven't been collecting yet, if you don't look at them with eagle vision, I don't think that they appear on the map. I could be wrong, but I looked directly at a flag without eagle vision, and it didn't appear on the map. So that's something to think about there. And now I'm going to have to go back and find them. San Giovanni di Florentini. Once completed, San Giovanni became the national church of Florence in Rome. Pope Leo X initiated an architectural competition in 1508 for a new church to be built in place of the old Saint Panteleo. The winning architect went by the name of Sansovino, but there were complications and construction slowly ground to a halt. Many different people tried to finish the church over 2 centuries, and it was finally completed in 1734. There's something to be said for the efficiency of a dictatorship, although the death toll accompanying one is a little unsettling. From the chests that I've collected so far, we received 2,975 florins. Also, it turns out we can get into a different part of the map, just not the one that I wanted to. So from here, instead of collecting anything else for now, we're going to continue on with the main quest until I can get some more map opened up and see what's what, and then I'll continue on collecting. I did manage to buy up all the properties that I could, except for that faction building for now, until I ran out of funds or just didn't have anything left to buy. So we should be getting some good income in the future, and I won't be broke all the time. But for now, we'll end it there, and we will start back up right here where we left off
Did you liberate your money from our friend?
with Machiavelli.
A small